Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Am I audible enough? Okay, let's start with the presentation. Once again, good morning to all. Okay, so today we are I'm going to take you through proficiency in general English. You need not worry about whether the resource persons are um, able to do it or not. I would like to inform you that ours is all the resource persons are very, very professional. And for your kind information, my post graduation as well as my PhD is in English literature. Okay, so this is the syllabus for PGCET. You have, I just wanted to know, I'm sorry, uh, I just wanted to take you through the full form of PGCET. It means Karnataka Examination Authority, Government of Karnataka. It conducts every year. And if you get through this, it becomes easier for you to get seats in this management quota. Then KMAT again, it's again Government of Karnataka has constituted a group of private professional colleges, okay, and they conduct this exams for students. Now, for PGCET, actually there was a difference in a little difference in the syllabus of PGCET as well as KMAT. So I just thought have it here. You have most of it is the same, okay. You have synonym. Is explicit sentence correct. The people will move on. One second. Hello. Sorry for the. Hello? See, if in case I'm inaudible, yes, thank you. You need to please chat and inform me, okay? Because I have muted all of you. So in case you can't hear me, just let me know. Okay, was I audible when I was taking you through the syllabus of KMAT? Okay, this is the PGCET syllabus. I'm sure all of you heard me on this. Next, we move on to the syllabus of KMAT. Like I was explaining earlier, some of the things are extra here. For example, fill in the blanks, comprehension of passages, understanding of passages and comprehension of passages one and the same. Language skills, these are extra. Okay, let's move on to synonyms. Synonyms means meanings. Okay, a word which is, see, words have different shades of meaning. No two word means the same. You need to understand that at the very beginning before we go into any of these things. So the word, for example, here you have on one side you have the word and the other you have the synonym. For example, the word colossal means something which is immense. Can anyone give me a chat and tell me like what is the other? Can you give me another synonym for the word immense? Very big, huge. Okay, these are some of the other synonyms which you can give for the word colossal. Next, enjoyable. Here the word is festive. That is when you are in festive mood. You are other synonyms. Likewise, astonishing, you have superb, something which is surprising. That's another synonym for you. Courteous, pleasant, knowing how to behave with peers or elders or your friends, being courteous. Okay, courtesy, it can also mean that. Excellent is superior here, something which is the very best. That's another synonym for you. Gossip is whispered, talking something about someone. Compact is minute, something which is very, something which is shrunk, something which is made compact, something big. Next, little is puny. Puny here can also mean something or someone who has not attained their proper stature. Then funny, humorous. So these are some of the synonyms that I have on the slide here. And I have given you alternate synonyms also. Next, we move to antonyms. Antonyms are opposites. Okay, and when you are answering the test, please make sure that you read the question properly, because students usually confuse with synonyms and antonyms. And if you give an opposite answer for the synonym, or you give the meaning antonym, you'll lose marks. So please read the question carefully before you attempt to answer. Okay, antonyms are opposites. Destroy, the opposite of you have studied all this in your from your primary school. I'm sure you have studied meanings and opposites and so on. The only thing here is we are going at a higher level, that's all, but the basic idea remains the same, isn't it? Okay, so destroy, the opposite of destroy is to create, divide, unite, expand, contract, drunk, sober. To praise opposite is criticism. To praise, to criticize. Okay, suppose if it becomes verb. Urge is to ask. So I thought it was easily understandable. Okay, drunk is someone who is drunk and has lost his faculties, and sober is a person who is very much in the now. You have problem. Opposite of problem is solution. Opposite of vacant is occupied. upset, relaxed, private, public. Now, next, shall we move on to, we'll move on to one word substitutes. Now, as the phrase itself indicates, the word replaces a given sentence. Okay, so what is the meaning of the word omnipotent? Or they can give you a sentence. For the PGCET, they can either give you a word and ask you to give me the sentence, choose the sentence, or they can give you the sentence and ask you to choose the word. So omnipotent, the meaning of omnipotent is one who is all powerful. One who can throw his voice is known as a some and you as if the monkey or the dog is talking. Have you witnessed this kind? Appears to us the doll is talking, and that is the voice of the ventriloquist that we hear. That is the role. Bodily study aeroplanes is a have I'm sure the answers of living okay. Study of living things is two it seems. I think the chat it's genetics. The one word substitute now governs of the people, for the people, and can you tell me what is the one word substitute? Oh, Shaila, who gave the answer? Shaila, biology. You gave a little late. Anyway, thanks for giving. Is the people, by the people, substitute. What's the one word substitute? Anyone? You know this. This is a very common enough answer. India is one such country. It's democracy. Of course, it's not there on the slide. I just thought I'll ask you. No, it's not republic. It's democracy. Democracy is the one word substitute for a government which is of the people, by the people, and for the people. So you have to just think, because I'm sure they'll give you easy words, and most of the things we know. For example, a person who always looks at the wrong side of things. For example, if you give him half a glass of water, instead of saying it is half full, he always says it is half empty. What do you call such a person? One word substitute. Anyone? Anyone? He is a pessimist. So this is how you might expect questions. Next we move on to idioms and phrases. See, idioms and phrases. Idioms or phrases. I mean, idioms are a collection of words or phrases which have a figurative meaning. What do you mean by figurative meaning? See, they can stand on their own. on their own, they have their own complete meaning. Okay, a phrase is a part of sentence, isn't it? But when you are talking about idioms and phrases, we are talking about those statements or sentences or even proverbs which have a meaning of their own, and they are used in such a way that we don't take that we never take the words at the literal meaning. Okay, we because they sound kind of funny. Partial is funny. We usually take the secondary meaning of idioms and phrases. And what is the use of learning these things? See, when in any native speaker doesn't use the bookish language. See, you have studied Kannada. All of you are from Karnataka, isn't it? Or even if you are from Kerala, you have studied Malayalam or say Kannada. Do you speak the Kannada language as as it is in the textbook? Of course not. The spoken dialect is completely different, or it is a little different from the bookish. It? So likewise, it is for English, for any language. So for English, when see the native speakers of language don't use the bookish language like we do. So when you use idiomatic expressions or phrases, it adds a depth to your language. That's the reason why we need to, as far as possible, we need to use it. Of course, it shouldn't be a kind of you shouldn't bring in abruptly. It should have a flow of its own. I've given two examples here. Actions speak louder than words. I'm sure this is a very, very common enough idiomatic expression. What does it mean? See, we might speak a lot many things, but if we are not going to practice what we speak, do you think people are going to believe us? Of course not. That's what it means. It doesn't mean that this is much louder than words. No, the secondary meaning is you need to practice what you preach. That is the way we use this idiomatic expression. Next, you can't judge a book by its cover. What does it mean? It means when you see we are usually impressed by looking at people, isn't it? Beauty is just a skin deep thing, but that is how most people are impressed. That is the first thing that we look at when we are looking at someone. So that's why. And suppose the same thing, if you bring it back to a book, you imagine you buy a book by looking at the cover of the book, a beautiful cover. But after you buy the book, you feel, I mean, you will realize the book is not as good as you thought it to be. So never ever judge people by looking at them. Don't go by superficial things. That's the meaning of this idiomatic expression. Okay, I have some, this is a slide wherein you need to answer. Okay, underlined expression. You need to answer the underlined idiomatic expression. I have given 4 options here. You can type your answer. Do you want me to unmute you? And give me a middle of a story. What is the meaning of this one? Yes, Puneet. Yes, it doesn't matter if your answer is wrong. Don't worry. This is like your classroom. Just see it as your classroom. Okay, and I'm your teacher. No problem. Absolutely no problem. I usually, no. Okay, he broke off. Yes, yes, you're right. You're right. Who gave the answer? He broke off in the middle of a story. Whose answer was there? Was it Chetan? No, Chetan, no, not A. Who gave someone gave the answer, stopped. Who was that? Very good, very good. I'm sorry. Yes, you are right. He broke off in the middle of the story means, see, earlier I suddenly broke off in between of my presentation. It was some glitch in technology, but whatever. I stopped suddenly, didn't I? Okay. So the answer is C. Next, he cried out against such injustice. What's the answer? What's the answer? He cried out against such injustice. Yes, very good. Protested. Very good. Puneet, thank you. These seats are set apart for ladies. Set apart. Oh, yes, right. Dharmendra, is it? Right, yes. Many of you have given the answer reserved. Very good. Today he is in high spirits. What's the answer? Yes, Dharmendra. Shailesh, thank you. Shreyaswini. All right, cheerful. Under constant, you will be in high spirits once you finish your your exams and PGCET. Then you will be in high spirits. Okay, under constant pressure, the thief spilled the beans. What is the meaning of spilling the beans? Yes, very good, very good. It's Melvin, Pratiksha, and who was the Shailesh? Who else? And Dharmendra, was it Dharmendra or Pratik? Puneet, yes. Everything is the correct answer. This is very easy. Please don't expect so very easy ones. But then whatever answers you have given is correct. Very good. I'm impressed. Next. Next, we move on to pairs expressing relationships. It's also known as analogies. Here, analogies is plural. Here, either there are different types of analogies. Okay, you need to you have to read it carefully before even trying to answer. You need to see what is the relationship of the given pair so that you can try to find out the correct answer. Like here, I've just given two examples. Hunting is to a lioness what work is for a businessman, and pen is to paper as a keyboard is to a computer screen. Now, these are the different types of possible relationships in an analogy that you can look for: part and whole, item and purpose, antonyms and synonyms, characteristics of things, association analogies, object and location, cause and effect. Here, see, suppose if they give me joyful dash and then they'll give you 4 different pairs, or they might just give you the first 2 and ask you to select that pair which is. So you have to be very very careful, see whether it's an opposite. See, in the first one, happy, joyful, they have given you the meaning, isn't it? The meaning of sad is depressed, so it's a synonym. The second one, inflation, inflation is to go up, deflation is something to which comes down. For example, your GDP or whatever. So it is an opposite. Frail, someone who is weak, and strong. So that's an analogy for an antonym. Next, characteristics. Tropical is an area which is hot. Polar regions are cold. So it is characteristics of a thing or a region. So that's a characteristic analogy. Next, part and whole. Finger is a part of a hand. Likewise, flower is the part of a, petal is the part of flower. Next, we move on to degree, the analogies of degrees. Mist is a fog. Okay, a drizzle is something which you can see in a tropical storm. Again, you have different types of analogies here. Types. Golden retriever is it's a type of dog. Salmon is a type of fish. Okay, tool and worker, pen, writer, voice, singer. Aeroplane, you fly, you drive a car. Okay, you use knife to cut something and you use a ruler to measure item and purpose. Poet writes poems and baker bakes a pie. So product and worker. These are, so before you answer or before you even attempt to answer, please read it once, twice so that you'll know what type of analogy the question is all about. Have a word analogy. Vocabulary problem. Okay, it can be it can be of any of these types which I have shown you. Mountain, high, which do you think is the correct answer? Artist, famous, dry, desert, honey, sweet, brick, light. The given pair is mountain, high. Come on, answers please. What's the answer? B, no, a desert need not be dry always. Suppose if it rains, the desert sweat, doesn't it? Mountains are always high. No, an artist need not be famous. Navya, who told you an artist has to be famous? Okay, Puneet, see, we are doing the elimination, is it now? Okay, anyway, Puneet, you're right. Honey is always sweet. Have you ever tasted bitter honey? And brick is never light. Brick is quite heavy. An artist need not be famous. And a desert need not be dry. But a honey is always sweet, just like a mountain. The moment you say mountain, it has at least a modicum of height, doesn't it? Yes, that's how you need to find the answer. Next, we move on to semantic analogy. Okay, the relationship. Fan, heat. Now give me the answer. Think properly. Fan, heat. Which is the pair which goes with the given pair? I'm waiting for your answers. Light and night. No, night opposite is day, isn't it? Light opposite is darkness. Sharon. Anybody else? D, air. You need not breathe in. You also breathe out air, isn't it? E, Pratiksha and Sharon have given me the correct answer. Yes, food, hunger. Why is it food and hunger? Okay, I'll explain. See, fan, when you switch off the fan, it reduces the heat in the atmosphere, doesn't it? See, but water and drink, see, water need not be used for the purpose of drinking. You can even use it to bathe. You can wash your face. You can wash clothes. So water and drink is not a pair. Light and night, like I've explained, a day and night or light and darkness. If it is an opposite, it has to be a proper opposite, proper analogy. Light and night is no pair at all. Teach and student, no. Air and breathe, like I told you, it's not necessary that you always need to breathe in. You can also breathe out. Air and breathe, no. Food, yes, and hunger. Just like a fan reduces the heat, the intake of food assuages your hunger. Okay, so that is the answer is E. Next, classification of, this is classification analogy. Okay, part and whole. It is also known as part and whole. Part to whole example, which I have told you earlier. A ring is a jewelry, finger, hand. Next, come on. Okay, here I've explained. A ring is a type of jewelry, but just as a finger is a part of hand, battery, flashlight, hard drive, computer, toe, foot, a finger, hand. You have opposite or antonym analogy here. Opposites like crying and laughing, fire and water, question and answer. Foe is an enemy, opposite is friend. And here they have given the synonym of foe. Enemy, opposite. Pal means a friend. Next, kind, cruel, happy, sad, exciting, dull, hero, villain. These are all opposite analogies. Next, we'll move on to association analogies. Cause or effect. Cause and effect. Association analogies also as cause and effect. Spinning makes you dizzy. A fire burns you. Okay, cow gives milk just like a chicken gives an egg. Actually, it should have been a chick or egg. Next, practice. You improve with practice. The more you exercise, the more healthier you stay. Association analogies. Okay, come on. We have some analogies here. I want you to solve these. Car, garage, ship. What is the relation? You have to see what is the relation. No, C is wrong. Because I'll tell you why. A port can be an airport. It can be a seaport. You understand? Why C is the wrong answer? No, they will give you these kind of confusing options. Okay, they'll give you these confusing options because many think port to a seaport. Need not be. It can be an airport also. Haven't you heard about airports? Come on now. Which is the correct answer? A car is parked in a garage. Likewise, a ship is parked in a No, some of you had given the answer. I did not say. I was busy explaining. Yes, harbor, Pratiksha, correct. So a ship is parked in a harbor. Harbor is correct. Next. Answer for the second one. Can it be sheep, Sharon? Sheep and cotton? Sweater and wool? What kind of a connection is that? Think. I want you to think. Linen is wrong. Linen and cotton? No. Linen is a kind of mixed yarn. It's not pure cotton, okay? Linen, most of these things are general knowledge. Polyester, we know it's made of man-made fiber. Yes, Shailesh. What do you think is the answer? Come on. We have eliminated most. What do you think is the answer? See, a sweater is made up of wool. Yes, Puneet, correct. A denim is made up of cotton. Haven't you heard about jeans denim? That's pure cotton. That's cotton fiber. So the answer is denim. Denim, cotton, sweater, wool. Next, tongue, sound. Eyes blind. Are your eyes blind? Are our eyes blind? Eyes and blind? No. That's the wrong answer. Okay, violin and vibration, correct. Just like the tongues produces, no, head and hair is wrong. You can have a bald head also, Sharon. And ears need not be deaf. Eyes need not be blind. Head need not have hair. You have to please, when you're answering for your PGCET, please question yourselves, try to analyze the given pairs. Just like a tongue makes a sound, sound is created by the tongue. Likewise, vibrations are created by the strings of the violin. So the answer is B, violin, vibration. Next, arrival and departure. Correct. Correct, Puneet. Let me see. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Thank you, Chandrika, Puneet. Yes. Shailesh. Anybody else would like to give the answer? Very good. Very good. Its answer is D, birth and death. Arrival is like your birth and departure is like your death. Very good. Next, we move on to grammar. Oh, this is a huge thing. It's immense. It's colossal. It's vast. I'm using one of the synonyms which I had used in the very beginning. It is something which is, and I'm sure you have studied this for 15 years now. If you throw in LKG and MKG, it makes it 17 years. Yes, degree. It's 10 plus 5, isn't it? Yes, plus 2. So you know how vast the subject is. Now you have two different, to make it easy. I have branched it. You have word level grammar, which covers verbs, tenses, nouns, adverbs, adjectives, and so on. And then you have sentence level grammar, which covers phrases, clauses, and reported speech. Now, what is a clause? Students are usually confused about these things. So I just thought I'll explain this a little bit over here. Now, a clause, what is the difference? We're talking about idiomatic expression. The meaning is different there. Please understand which phrase that we are talking about and where is it, in the given question. Now, phrases are parts of sentences. Now, clauses, okay, they need to have a subject. Sentence. And if a clause is independent of its meaning, if it can stand on its own, you call it a dependent clause. And what's the subordinate or dependent clause? Suppose if you, for example, SIT is an engineering college. That's an independent clause. It's a complete sentence, isn't it? SIT is an engineering college. If I say, but it also has an engineering college located at Valachil, Then the second one is a subordinate clause. If I say just located in Valachil, does it make any meaning? No, it is a subordinate clause because it depends on the main clause. SIT is an engineering college to make sense. So this is how this is the what a clause means, and you have independent or main, which is a complete sentence in itself, like the example that I've given to you just now, and dependent and or subordinate, which needs the main clause to make meaning of the given sentence. Okay, here I have given some examples, independent clauses. See, I enjoy eating in a restaurant. That's an independent clause. The second part, look at the second sentence. I enjoy eating in a restaurant because the food is better. The food is better. Now the second part, this here, because the food is better, this is a subordinate clause. Okay, this is not necessary. The first part, I enjoy eating in a restaurant itself makes complete sense. So you call this as an independent clause. But when the second sentence, it becomes the main clause because you have a subordinate clause here. You're telling why you enjoy eating in a restaurant. Okay. Next, waiting for the mail to come is tedious. What is the meaning of the word? What is the meaning of the word tedious? Come on, this is a synonym for you. You can give me the meaning. What the meaning of the word tedious? You have a sentence here, so the meaning should come easily. Anyone? Anyone? Try, please. Try. It doesn't matter. Ah, yes. Difficult. No. Foolish is not the right answer. Foolish is no. Difficult, yes. Waiting for the mail is, but then difficult, foolish. Can anyone give any other meaning? Synonym? Any other? Difficult, foolish. We have two shades of meaning right now. Anybody else? I can give you a demo with your own examples. Hard, yes. Anybody else? Hard, difficult, foolish. Anyone? Waiting for the mail to come. See, for example, see, whenever you think of giving an answer, make sure that you apply it is applicable to you. How can this become applicable to you? Imagine you have ordered something online. Okay, you're waiting. So waiting for the mail to come is tedious. What does it mean? What does it mean now when it is applicable to you? Hard, yes. Foolish, no. Anybody else? No, not too late. No, not too late. Tedious. You have ordered something and you're waiting and waiting. Ah, yes, frustrating. Very good, Puneet. Frustrating, irritating, hard, difficult. Now, these are the four synonyms for the word tedious. Do you understand now? What is the meaning of a word? What does a synonym mean? You can have still probably many more, words. See, that's exactly what happens when you search for a meaning, when you go searching for a meaning of a word in Google. Google throws up some 15 to 20 different meanings of the given word, and the meaning hinges with the given sentence. That specific meaning depends on the sentence in which it is used. Please understand, please remember, words have a wealth of meanings. No two words have the same meanings. Okay, so waiting for the mail to come is frustrating, irritating, difficult, hard. So it is a complete sentence. It's an independent clause. But look at the second one, especially when I have better things. Subordinate clue. Because we have we did not tell why it is irritating or frustrating. We are giving an explanation here. This becomes automatically the main clause and this becomes the subordinate clause. The earth circles around the sun, this independent. If you add something here next, if you add another clause here, a subordinate clause, then this becomes the main clause. Can anyone add a subordinate clause here? The earth circles around the sun. Only then this becomes, otherwise it's an independent clause. It becomes a main clause only if there is a subordinate one. Anyone? I am really enjoying with you guys, you know that. I'm very happy that all of you are, attempting to answer. And you are right too. See, English is a very easy subject. Anyone would like to give me a subordinate clause here? No? Shall I move on to the next one? Okay, so here you have examples of subordinate clauses. See, the ones which are in pink, these are the subordinate clauses. See, I have my wife in London. That's a main clause. That's a dependent clause. I mean, you met your wife in London. You are studying in St. Joseph's or you are studying in SIT. That in itself is a complete sentence, isn't it? Where she grew up at a young age. This is a subordinate clause. That's a complete sentence. If you give a reason, you will go shopping or why, when, and so on. Once my husband finished, this is a subordinate clause. If you just say, once my husband finishes work, what does it mean? It becomes a dangling kind. It becomes a dangling modifier. You know that the sentence doesn't make sense. My son has to be in at 7 o'clock. This is an independent clause. Because I told him to be, or because I told him to come early or whatever, this is a subordinate clause. She got a first dog, independent. It becomes main when you have a subordinate here when she was 4 years old. Have you understood the clauses now? And there are the noun clauses, adverb clauses, adjective clauses, and so many other things. But I just thought I'll give you the two main types. Okay, we are moving back to word level grammar. Actually, there are 8 parts of speech. But here, these days, they add determiners also as a part of speech. Verbs and verb tenses. Okay, what is a verb? Action words. And tenses, what is happening when? Wherein verb expresses a situation. So, then you have nouns, which represent, these are the proper nouns. You have proper and common. Mary is a proper noun. Teacher is a common noun. Places, things, table, music, and so on. Nouns. And you have abstract and concrete nouns also. See, the noun, concrete is something which you can touch. Okay, these are all the, here you have both concrete as well as abstract. Now, teacher, Mary, town, this table, these are all concrete nouns. Can you give me an example for an abstract noun here? Anyone? I have given you a broad hint. Come on, try please. An abstract noun is an abstract quality, okay? For example, the characteristics of anything, human beings, anything, the different state, for example, honesty, beauty, love, hatred, okay, jealousy, these are all abstract qualities. We feel those, but you cannot touch. Can you touch those things? No. The different stages of one's life, infancy, teenage, adulthood, okay, womanhood, manhood, these are all abstract qualities. They come under abstract nouns. Now, in the given list, there is one abstract noun. Anyone? I'm waiting for you guys to give me the right answer. Is one abstract noun in the given list of nouns. Nobody? Oh, very good. Thank you, Puneet. No, there is angry. There is no angry here. Angry is an, okay, who gave me the word angry? Come on, can I see your answer again, please? I'd like to address you, so that makes it more, one-on-one. Who gave the word angry? Please. Okay, Shreyaswini. Okay, Shreyaswini. See, you gave the word angry. That is what students do. See, angry is an adjective. Angry is a verb. Okay, I become angry. I'm a very angry person. There, angry is an adjective. I become angry very fast. There, angry is a verb. What is the noun form of the word angry? Abstract noun. We are talking about noun forms here. Can anyone give me the noun form of the word angry? Shreyaswini, can you try? You can definitely give me the answer. Think. Angry can become a verb. It can also be an adjective, but it is not an abstract noun. What is the abstract noun here? In this list, Puneet has given me the answer. No, aggressive again is a verb or an adjective. Rabid dogs are very aggressive. Youngsters are very aggressive because of hormonal imbalance. That's a verb and an adjective. What is the noun form of the word aggressive? We have angry and aggressive. In this list, Puneet has given me the answer. Music is an abstract quality, abstract noun. Come on, give me the abstract noun for angry and aggressive. Come on, try. No, anger, no. I'm sorry, yes, anger, correct. Who gave the was it Puneet? Puneet, who gave the answer anger? Anger, right. Okay, the Navya, right. You are right, Navya. I'm sorry. Anger is the noun form of angry. Now, aggressive. Give me the noun form of the word aggressive. Otherwise, I'm not going to go forward. I can't leave you, with wrong ideas. We need to finish it properly, or we need to take care of it in a proper manner. Come on. Aggressive. See, angry, anger. Aggressive. Okay, I'll give you an analogy here. She had very expressive eyes. Oh, correct. Shreyaswini gave the correct answer. Aggression, right. So I said she has very expressive eyes. Expressive is an adjective. It's explaining, it's describing her eyes. What's the noun form of the word expressive? This all of you know. What's the noun form of the word expressive? No, express is a verb. Students express. Expression, correct. Have you got it now? Expression, aggression, anger, hate, jealousy, honesty, cowardice, love, hatred. See, we hate someone, but the noun form is hatred. Okay, have you understood this? Thanks to all of you for giving me answers. Let's move on. Now we move on to the adjective. I have already explained expressive eyes, aggressive youngsters, so on. Next, adverbs. Now, adverb, see, as the word tells you, it adds something to a verb. It adds something to a verb, to an adjective, and or to another adverb. It's not, doesn't, what is the meaning of adding something? It modifies the meaning. It modifies the meaning. For example, she has expressive eyes. There, eyes is a noun. Okay, expressive is it's an adjective. Expressive is what kind of eyes? Expressive eyes. Now I want to add an adverb there. Can anyone add an adverb? How expressive are her eyes? She has expressive eyes. Expressive is an adjective there. If you add an adverb to the adjective, you can modify the meaning. Anyone? How expressive are her eyes? Very expressive. She has very expressive eyes there. Very is an adverb which is modifying the adjective expressive. Okay, next verb. She's she's hardworking. Hardworking is, no, that's an adjective. She works hard. Okay, so works is a verb. How does she work? Hard. She works hard. Hard is an adverb. Okay, next, she works hard. You have works is a verb. Hard is an adverb. How hard does she work? She works very hard. There, very is the adverb which is modifying the first adverb, hard. So an adverb is a word which modifies a verb, an adjective, and another adverb. Okay. Here I have just given some examples, but I just thought I'll give you little examples. Next, determiners are words like the articles, the, and, this, relative words and phrase. Next, we move on to prepositions. An, and the. I'm sure you know about articles. An apple. Okay, the Himalayas. These are known as determiners. Next, prepositions. This is a relative word, okay? This is a relative word, and it usually gives us the relationship of a noun or a pronoun to another noun or pronoun in the given sentence. Can anyone give me an example? This is an easy one. A preposition. Now, where is my laptop? My laptop is on the table. So, which are the two nouns here? The laptop and the table are the two nouns. Now, which is a preposition here? Which is the preposition in the sentence? My laptop is on the table. Correct answer. Not the, it's on, Shailesh. Your second answer was wrong. So the relationship between the laptop and the table. Where is the laptop? It is on the table. Where are my feet? Okay. Where are my feet? It is under the table. Okay. It's on the ground, under the table. So on, under, above, across, these are all prepositions which give the relationship of two nouns in a given sentence. Next, we move on to pronouns. What's a pronoun? A pronoun is a word which is W-O-R-D, word. Okay, it's a part of speech which is used in place of a noun. Okay, I am a professor at Srinivas Institute of Technology. And then Srinivas, instead of saying going on saying Srinivas Institute of Technology, I say our college. Okay, ours, yours, theirs, some. These are all words which we use instead of, in place of a noun. So they are known as pronouns. Next, conjunctions. See, what is the meaning of the word junction? See, all these things, see, if you don't know the meaning of any given word, what you have to do is, you need, this is just a simple enough idea. Not, but 95% of the time this works. Okay. See, imagine you don't know the meaning of a given word, any word. So what do? You try to divide the word into, break the word into two and see whether you know the meaning of at least one word. One word in that when you have broken it into two. If you know at least the meaning of one word, part of the given word. See, for example, what is the meaning of the word junction? What is the meaning of the word junction? What is junction? A junction is a place, which it's wherein two or three roads come and meet, isn't it? Isn't it? So conjunction, something which is, yes, common place of connection. So conjunction, to join something. So it says easy, and, but, though. These are all words which join two sentences, two simple sentences, or two or to make it into one compound sentence or a complex sentence. What is positioning? To position is to place somewhere, something. What is pre? Pre is before, pre-university. It before your university course, isn't it? Pre is before, post is after. Please remember. So that is, where are you positioning? Where are you placing the word? Easy. See, determinism. Okay. Then here pronoun. Pronoun. Noun we know. Noun we know. So are these nouns? No. So it is automatically we understand that they are used in place of nouns. Okay. Next, interjection. This I always explain this with a funny explanation. It's a humorous actually. I'm sure all of you have had an experience of an injection in your life. All of you. Is there anybody, any single youngster who have not experienced an injection? Anyone? So what is the what is your reaction when you are given an injection? What is your reaction? Come on, tell me. What is your reaction when you are given an injection? Ah, yes. Puneet, ouch, or ayyo, if you want very Indian, ayyo, amma. But these are sudden expletives that come out of our mouth, sudden expressions. So they are known as interjections, short exclamations, and they always are followed by an exclamatory mark. What is that? Crying. Shailesh, you are sending an emoticon. No, I want a word, not an emoticon. Okay? Sudden expletives. Oh, and it not just oh or no, it needs to have a lot of emotions injected into it. It should come out naturally. Only then it becomes an interjection. Okay? Otherwise, no. If you say dear or no. Oh, see, today we are having, in our having grand functions. Oh, I didn't know it. You don't say, oh, I did not know it. Then it doesn't become an interjection. So when we speak, every language is rhythmic, but especially when it comes to English, you have a rising tone, you have a falling tone. Okay. I'm not going to go into that, but that gives an exact meaning to the person who is listening to you. Next, sentence level grammar, phrases. Okay, units that come, this is a part of a sentence. Then the 4 different types of sentences: declarative, interrogative, imperative, and exclamative. Can anyone give me the meaning of the word declarative? It's also known as affirmative. Affirmative. Okay. Anyone? Example? So affirmative, declarative is a statement. Okay. I am a woman, or you are a boy, or this is an engineering college. Declarative. You make a statement. So that's a declarative or an affirmative, assertive sentence. Next, we move on to interrogative. What is the meaning of the word interrogation? What is interrogation? It's to ask questions. Are you following me? I'm asking you. That's a interrogative sentence. Are you enjoying today's session? Come on, I'm asking you a question. I want an answer. Have I given you anything extra today? Anything extra other than whatever you knew? These are all examples for interrogative sentences, and I'm looking for an answer to. No one is giving me come on, give me an answer. I want an answer. This is an example for imperative sentence. I fooled you there. These are give me an answer. Would you please kindly give me an answer? This is, you can, imperative can be a request, or kindly mute your volume, request. I'm happy that give me an answer. It's an order. It's an order. So these are all imperative sentences. Then exclamatory. Are you enjoying today's session? Oh, I'm sure you are enjoying today's session. I'm really happy that most of you are trying to give me an answer. I'm really excited here. I'm excited to talk to you. So this is an example for an exclamatory sentence. Okay. Next, sentence structures. Simple sentence. Okay, which is compound sentence, which has a SIT is an engineering college, and it has management courses too. That's a compound. SIT is an engineering college, and it also has management courses. That's compound. SIT is an engineering college which has management courses along with architecture and doctoral courses. That's a complex and compound complex sentence. Example. Have you understood? Okay. See, if suppose, again, in a humorous manner, I'm happy the students have joined today's webinar. I'm happy the students have joined and are enjoying today's webinar. The first one is simple. The second is and are enjoying. That is compound. I'm happy that the students have joined today's webinar, are enjoying and also learning something. That's complex, compound, complex sentence. Okay. And I believe whatever I'm saying is true. Because this is not a regular class. You can see me, but I can't see you. I am kind of handicapped actually. Okay, then you have linking in these are all verbs. Linking verb is the verb which links a sentence. A sentence, that's a linking verb. Intransitive is a verb which takes an object, and transitive verb is the intransitive doesn't need an object, and transitive verb needs an object. Next, direct object, we know direct example, I am the one, the teacher teaches in the class, so direct object, teacher and verb and so on. Next, indirect are listening, or the teacher was talking to the students who were listening, so that's an indirect. Then reported speech, I'm sure all of you know, this is something to do with direct and indirect, okay? For example, I'm talking directly to you now, I'm interacting with you directly. Suppose some of your friends have not joined the webinar today, and imagine they'll call you and ask, hey, Nino, Nene, Adu webinar, no, PGCET counseling free session coaching, hogidya, hegitu. And then you say, then you tell, adu tumba olledittu maraithe, whatever. ನಾನು ಎನಿಸಿದ್ದು ಉಂಟಿತ್ತು, ಓಕೆ ಸಾಧಾರಣ ಇತ್ತು, whatever your answer. So that is what you tell her will be, and then suppose if you are explaining something that I have explained today, that becomes a reported speech. Now, what do you mean by parenthetical expression? See, in punctuation, parenthesis means something which you put in brackets. A parenthesis is a bracket in punctuation mark. But what is the meaning of the word parenthetical expression? What does it mean? It means you add something, you add a phrase or a word to a sentence, which is not necessary there, but then you add it and it doesn't change the meaning of that. It neither changes the meaning or a grammar. It doesn't given sentence. It just adds something. For example, handle these sessions because I'm sure students love to listen or something like that. The second part which I added, that's a parenthetical expression. Okay, that is not necessary there. For example, the students are willing to listen to this coaching because they want to excel, and I'm sure they are going to. The last part, and I'm sure they are going to. Parenthetical expression, that's not necessary. It can either, you can add or leave. So that is about parenthetical expressions. Okay, common errors in English. It is also known as sentence correction. In PGCET, I think it is sentence correction. In KMAT, it comes as fill in the blanks. And it also comes under phrasal verbs. These are all phrasal verbs, okay? Whatever you have here, it can be a pronoun, a noun, phrasal verbs, linking, anything. So come on, I want you to work this out. Walking for 10 miles in a day, dash a child's play. What is the correct answer? Walking for 10 miles in a day or walking for 10 miles a day, both are correct. Answer please. Yes. Shailesh, right. Is a child's play. Answer is is. What have you done with a? What have you done with a? See, it's the first one. What type of a sentence is the first one? It is declarative, assertive. Okay, it's a sentence. What type of a sentence is the second one? I'm going back. I might ask you anything. Yes. What have you done with the scissors? Answer is A. See, this is the correct answer. And what have you done with the scissors? Okay, that's a interrogative sentence. Question mark. See, scissors, some nouns we always use it in the plural. Just because it is one, when you say scissors, how many scissors are there? How many scissors do you think are there? Answers, please. Yes, one. Chandrika, correct. See, some nouns are always used. Very good. All of you have given. Some words are, no, this is wrong. D is wrong. See, some nouns like scissors, linguistics, mathematics, economics, statistics. Then you have jeans, pants, trousers. Some of these words are always, it's used in the plural, but we mean singular. We mean one thing. Okay? Scissor is wrong. Scissor is wrong. Scissors, when you use an apostrophe with an S, it means something is belonging to the scissors. So it is very wrong. Here it is something is belonging to the scissors. Again, these two are wrong. So all these three are wrong and only A is the correct answer. Next one. One must not lose dash temper. No. How can, see, when answer was, someone gave me the answer D. DR is plural. So that cannot be the right answer. How, Chetana, how do you know it's a female or a male? So A is the answer. One must not lose one's temper. No, not his. Shenoy, how do you know whether it's a boy or a girl? Whether it's a female or a male? So answer is A. One must not lose one's temper. Next, a group of scientists dash working on this project. Wrong, 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 wrong. All of you have given the wrong answer. Because, see, a group of scientists. Now, which is the noun that is very important here in this given sentence? See, all of you had given the answer BR. R is wrong because all of you were looking at the word scientists. All of you looked at the word scientists and gave me the answer as R. But we are talking of a group of. It can be scientists, students, it can be anything. A group. A group is seen as a single entity. A group was working, isn't it? Or a group is working, isn't it? Now forget this. Forget this part. A group, what? What's the answer now? This is the noun that we need to look at. A group of scientists, because this can be anything. A group of scientists. What is the correct answer now? Yes, Varshita. Thank you. Is working on this project. Next, every boy, every girl and boy. Think, grammar, you need to think. These are all touch and go kind of questions. Looks very easy, but the answer will be wrong. Yes, Chandrika, correct. Chandrika is given. Shreyaswini, Chandrika, correct answer. Oh, I'm sorry. I did not read the sentence properly. No, you are wrong. Both of you are wrong. I need to get the sentence once. No, it's not were. It's not were. It's not were. See, many people pronounce this word as where. Where is wrong pronunciation? Where is WHER is where? Where did you learn this? Where are you from? Okay, that is where. WER is pronounced as were. Yes, someone gave me the right answer now. Every boy and girl, every boy and see every girl and every boy. Can't you make it every girl and every boy? I mean, we did not use it, but every boy, the moment it is every boy and every girl, what would have been your answer? So every, seen as every. See, you saw a group. Here, every, singular, every girl and every boy. So this is singular entity. What is, most of you gave me the answer is. I said is wrong. Were is also wrong because we're talking about singular here. R is definitely doesn't even come into the picture. So by default, someone had given me the answer. Who had given me the answer? I saw someone give the correct answer. Okay, so the answer is was. Why is it in past tense? Because look at the verb here. Informed. This is past tense. The present tense is to inform someone. To inform is future. I'm informing you now. Inform. Inform him right now. So inform is present tense. So here you have the past tense of the given verb. So tenses, verb tenses, you have to look at everything before deciding on the final answer. So every boy, every girl and boy was informed well in time. Next, a large number of people still dash below the poverty line. A large number of people. No, no. For you to have living, you need to see living is a verb, isn't it? It's in present continuous. A large number of people are still living. It becomes like that. The syntax, the sentence construction changes there. So not living. You have see when you give the answer, when you are attempting the answer in the exam, please try to write the answer in the blank that is given. Okay, whatever your answer, whatever thing in pencil, and then read the complete sentence. And then when you read the complete sentence, you will know it is wrong. See, for example, a large number of people still living below. So you automatically know it's wrong. Okay. So whatever your answer, try to fit in the blank with pencil, read it, and just analyze for yourself whether it is right or wrong. Okay, someone give me the correct answer now. I happen to see lived is wrong, past tense. A large number live. Very good, Chandrika. Why live? We are looking at a large number. That's something in plural. You know, a large number of people still live below the poverty line. Live. Live is the correct answer. See here, a group is seen as a single entity. A large number speaks of plural. When you say a large number, automatically you know there are minimum of 5 to 6 people or more. So it becomes plural. Do you understand the difference between a group and a large number? Okay. Likewise, majority. When you say majority, though you're talking of, though it sounds like one, we are talking of the 3/4 or more than half. So automatically it becomes plural. So a large number of people still live below the poverty line. I like her dash face. No. Child's face. No, no. Childlike. Yes. Who gave the childish is wrong. Who said childish? See, Shailesh and someone else gave me. No, I'm happy. The reason I ask you to give me the answers, do you know why? See, when you give the wrong option, I can explain to you why that is wrong. See, I can go forward. I could have finished this within half an hour, the entire presentation. But then it doesn't make any sense. When I ask you to give answers, that's why you please don't feel bad if you give the wrong answer, because I really appreciate your giving the answer. When you give the, and then it is helpful for all of us. Someone gave me the answer. Child's no. Child is, these two are very wrong. I like her. Of course, you are thinking of a child's face. No, but we're talking of that girl, her. Because you have childish and childlike, that gives you the idea that these two, we are not talking about somebody else. Okay. So what is the difference between childish and childlike? See, childish is a kind of behavior which is very, very immature. See, okay, childish. Only a child behaves in a childish fashion. See, imagine you want something. Children, they ask for a chocolate. If they are not given, they throw temper tantrums. They'll sit there. They'll shout. They'll cry. That's childish behavior. And usually, this is not applicable to children. We don't say children are childish, okay? Because children by nature are childish. It's a child that we're talking about, so it is bound to be child. This is an adjective which is used for grown-ups. He is quite childish. He hasn't yet grown up. So this is an adjective which is never used with children. Please remember, this is never used with children. This is always used as an adjective for grown-ups. Okay, so this is so you cannot, that cannot be how her face looks like. Had given me the answer. I forgot by the time I looked at, the name had vanished. Okay, so I like a childlike face. What is the meaning of childlike and childish? Childish is kind of a characteristics, okay, a behavior. Childlike, she had, what is the meaning of the word childlike? Anyone? It's better if you give me the answer. What is the meaning of childlike? Innocent. Innocent. Probably without any blemishes, okay, probably without any a smooth shining skin, but mostly it is a kind of phrase. And when we say childlike, we don't mean the quality of the skin, okay, we mean the innocence that usually is mirrored in the face of a child. So I like a childlike face. The convict stood dash the judge. No, in front of is very, very Indian. It's before. Who gave the answer? Vaishnavi, Navya, Varshita. Yes, the convict stood before the judge, not in front of. When you stand, you are in front of someone, isn't it? Can you please mute your audios, please? Only if you have to answer, you can unmute, okay? Or else kindly mute your audio.
Ilkana. Oi.
Next.
Ilka.
Is that Pooja? Please mute your audio. Pooja, mute your audio. Okay, so the convict stood before the judge. If you write in front of, it becomes very Indian. You have something called as Indianisms. That's again a vast subject. The way we have brought in so many, we have literally translated whatever we speak in our local dialect, and we have brought it into English, and that is known as Indianism. Okay, so next, please credit this amount to my dash. What's the answer? Account. Yes, yes. Correct. Very good. Varshita, Pooja, not Pooja, Varshita. Who else had given me the answer? Puneet. So account. Please credit this amount to my account. In Indian English, suppose if it is in Indian English, you would have said name. Please credit this amount to my ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರಿಗೆ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಡು ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕು. We say that in Kannada, no? ನಾನು ಇದನ್ನ ತಗೊಂಡೋಗಿ 1,000 ಇದೆ ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಡು. Account we never use, but that's wrong. So even when you're talking in Kannada, you should say ನನ್ನ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಗೆ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಡಪ್ಪ ಇದನ್ನ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಮಾಡು whatever. Please don't, I mean, so the correct answer is account. Very good. Next, we move on to sentence corrections. We are still in the syllabus of your PDCET and KMAT. So sentence correction. Now, all these sentences have a mistake. You need to tell me, you can unmute your audio and you can give me the correct answer. Okay. And don't worry whether your answer is right or wrong. I don't mind. I'm actually happy that you're answering. I'm really enjoying having this session. I don't know about you, but I am enjoying. Okay, come on now. We'll go to the first sentence. What is wrong there? Can someone give me the correct sentence? Illness. This is wrong, grammatically wrong. All these are wrong. How can you make it grammatically correct? Anyone? Very easy. Very easy. Come on. So the correct answer is he went to work despite his illness. No off there. No off. He went to work despite his illness. The second one. Come on. Raju, who is my best friend, is a writer. I'd give a correct sense. Ah, yes, correct. A writer. No, he. No matter what that I do, I make her happy. No matter just do, we can't make the students happy. Isn't it? Isn't it a fact of life? Come on, give me the answer. I had given you the answer. Actually, if you are listening in a synonym and an analogy, I had given you the answer. Not whatever. No, you no need for you to add any word here. You have to just subtract an extra word from this given sentence. Because you are not, that's your exams are not subjective. First 4 options. That, yes. Can you, Sudarshan or Macwin, can you unmute and, yes, Shailesh, any of you, I unmute and read out the correct sentence? Come on, it would be really nice to listen to your voices. Your answers are right. That's why I asked you. Anybody? Feeling shy? What for? I'm like your teacher, aren't I? See, I am like your teacher, aren't I? The question tag is plural. Possessive personal pronouns. Okay, yes, come on. Who is answering? Yes, no matter. Yeah, correct. Come on, please.
No matter what I do, I can't make her happy.
Very good. Is this Chandrika? Very good. All of you can give Chandrika a round of applause. No, I love to listen to students. Yes, very good. Next. Next one. She is busy at the work and won't be home before 10:30. Unmute and answer. Unmute and give me the answer. Let all listen. Because here only I can see the answer. No, I have to explain. If you give the correct answer, my work comes down that much. Come on.
She is busy at work and won't be home before 10:30.
Very good. Yes. Who answered? Sudarshan. Is it Sudarshan who gave the answer? Who is it? Shailesh? Who gave the answer? Okay, very good, Shailesh. She is busy at work and won't be home before 10:30. Very nice. Next one. It's very easy. It looks difficult. It looks correct, doesn't it? Because that's our Indian English. But it's wrong. There is a mistake in the grammar is wrong there. Come on, Shailesh. You can give me the correct sentence. Shailesh is making sure. Yes.
I decided
Very correct. Very good. Very good. I decided to quit my job a week ago. No have there. No, there is no need of any auxiliary there. Helping verb is not necessary. Next. Next sentence. Varshita, right?
I
Yes.
written to every my friend.
No, 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 no. No, no, wrong, wrong. Varshita, can you answer? But Shailesh, good, okay. I'm happy that you tried. Anyhow, you have given two correct
I
answers.
don't think so. My is necessary over there because every
No,
friend
give me the correct answer. Yes.
I have written to every friend I have.
Very good. No, my. Because you're saying I have written. So why? What is the use of the pronoun there? So can you repeat it again, Varshita? Can you repeat it, please?
I have written to every friend I have.
Very good. Right. See, now all those who are listening in the webinar got to listen to what you have to say. Next.
I don't speak
Next.
either French or German.
Yes. I don't speak either French or German. Who gave the answer? Was it Swini? Who was it? Chandrika? Was it Chandrika? Either. Okay, either. It's like, I mean, this is a little out of the syllabus, but since you pronounced it as either, and since I pronounced it either, I thought of giving an explanation. See, British English and American English, okay? In British English, we pronounce it as either, neither, and we follow the British, I follow the British English. Usually in India, we follow the British version of pronunciation. Whereas American, they pronounce it as either, neither, finance, then you have so many different words, okay? I have forgotten. There's a huge list, which is very, very different from the British pronunciation. But according to phonetics, phonetics is the study of the language through sounds, okay? When usually the language should be taught through phonetics, not through ABCD. A should be taught E. See, how have we studied kada? E. We have studied the sound, but in English we study ABC. That's a wrong way of learning. So even according to phonetics, which is the study of sounds in any given language, all languages have. It is E. It is either. It is I. It is not E. If it is E, the phonetic transcription will be different. So if any of you who are in my webinar today, if you want to know more about this, please go online and check the pronunciation of either. Either, neither, finance, divorce, all the words, English words, schedule, it is share. It doesn't become scare. Scare, schedule is American, which is phonetically wrong. Okay, so I always tell my students about this. But at the end of the day, it depends on your own. Okay, so you cannot say, and I'm sure that if you have listened to a Brit speaking, you can understand what he says. But if you are listening to an American speaking, most of the times you will not be able to follow, because one is because of their twang, and second because of their pronunciation. We say last, LA is they say last, past. Okay, they make it an a. Actually, it is an a. Famous books in English literature, the list is exhaustive. It is, there are numerous books. It is not possible, know all those unless you have read. But I have made a list here. So what you can do is you can go on Google, type classics, American, British, any. They might even give in from Indian literature. Anything is possible. So this is Jane Eyre. Many pronounce it as Jane Eyre. It's Jane Eyre, Charlotte Bronte, Pride and Prejudice. This is the name of the book and this is the name of the author. Jane Austen. Then Wuthering Heights, Emily Bronte. A Tale of Two Cities and Great Expectations are written by Charles Dickens. Heart of Darkness, Joseph Conrad. To Kill a Mockingbird, Harper Lee. The Lighthouse, Virginia Woolf. Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, Mark Twain. Even Tom Sawyer and his adventures, Mark Twain, American. Virginia Harper, Mark Twain, these are all American writers. These are all British writers. Animal Farm, George Orwell. Frankenstein, Mary Shelley. Midnight's Children, Salman Rushdie. Okay, this is Indian literature. Then Madame Bovary, this is Gustave Flaubert, French. So you can have, of course, these are all translated into English. This is into English now, but still you need to know, and it is for you to need to work on this. I cannot give you more slides in the limited time. Before I move on, have you read any of these? Anyone? Have you read any of these? Did you have Wuthering Heights for your degree? I think BSc had Wuthering Heights. If I don't know about now. Midnight Children and even Madam. Anyone? Please read, okay? They'll add an extra dimension to your life. Next, we move on to vocabulary. What do you mean by vocabulary? Vocabulary is word power. Word power. The more words you know, the more the language skills that you acquire. See, for example, okay? Can you give me a synonym for the word cheap? I bought. Can that's a word also. We not have big words here. Can anyone give me another word for cheap? No. Cheap. No. Poor has a different meaning. Less doesn't mean cheap. Poor doesn't mean cheap. Low. Very some. Oh, I got this at a lower price. Okay. Yes, right. There is one more. Very good. Shreyas Win, inexpensive. Yes. Now imagine I tell you this. I got this cheap. How does it sound? I got this at a lower price. How does it sound? I got this was quite inexpensive, you know. Which is better? Which is better? All the three, the meaning is the same. Cheap, lower price, inexpensive. But which was a better word to use when you were communicating with someone? Which is a better word? Come on, anyone? Better, isn't it? Cheap sounds cheap. Lower price sounds, you know, that you have bargained for. You know, words, I am coming back to that again, have so many shades of meaning. So especially when you're writing something, you need to make sure that you choose the very appropriate word to give the meaning which you intend to convey. So here I have given some meaning. And again, a vocabulary, it takes years to develop. And if you go on Google, if you go to dictionary.com, if any one of you are interested, if you go to dictionary.com, there you can take a lot of tests on dictionary.com. 10 words will appear. You can check according to the answer, and it will tell you where you are. And there are different levels in word dynamo and so on. There are different levels, and it will tell you what is the capacity of your vocabulary. It's very interesting. When you are free one of these days, I would request you to do it. Okay. It takes years and years to develop. And an easy way to develop is reading books. Okay. Meaning of the word mellifluous, it means something which is very nice to hear. Epiphany, it's a moment of sudden or great revelation or realization. For example, eureka. I'm sure all of you have heard about this eureka. It's interjection. Water tub, and what is that? That's an epiphany. He had a sudden Aristotle. He had a sudden idea and he jumped out, and that's what is an epiphany is. Then iridescent is something which is luminous, which is shining, dazzling. I have given some synonyms in the bracket. The moon was shining in an iridescent manner in the horizon. Okay. Then felicity is it's an kind of happiness. Suppose if you get to know when the results are announced, if you have bagged a rank, you will be with so much of felicity. You will be running around with felicity, isn't it? This vocabulary for you. Now we have certain words. Word and the meaning. Ambiguous is something which is vague or unclear. This is an adjective. This means an adjective, a verb. This is the noun form of the verb. Okay. What is the noun form of the word ambiguous? The abstract noun form. Can you give it to me? That is not there, but I'm just asking you. We learned abstract noun form earlier, didn't we? For verb and adjective and all. Yes. Give me the noun form of the word ambiguous. It's an adjective. Analogous is an adjective which is similar but not identical. Now this you should be able to give me. We studied this. 5 or 6 slides. Similar but not identical. Analogous. This is an adjective. What is the form of analogous? This you have to give me. You have to. Analog. No. Many say analog. I think it might be, but that's not the noun form. Analogous is analogy. Yes, Chandrika. Then benevolent means kind. What's the noun form of the word benevolent? Next, bittersweet. This is an adjective. Okay, tinged with the feeling of sadness. Then candid means direct, blunt. I'm not going to stop now. We are running. All right. To think deep, to contemplate about something. This is a verb. Okay, verb. A deference, noun. Respect or regard. Then discord, again, it's a noun. It's an abstract noun. Disagreement. Eloquent means someone who is having good communication skills. It can be either in speaking or writing, and you call that as eloquence. Eloquence is the noun form. Flourish, to work, either it's to grow. Geriatrics is the noun form. Hostile, harmful or dangerous, hostility. Imprudent, someone who is rash in behavior. Imprudence is the noun form. So this is given you. You have to go online and you need to work more on this, because they might give you any word. Jumbles, paragraph jumbles, that is jumbled paragraph. Jumbles are nothing but jumbled paragraphs. They'll give you certain 5 or 6 sentences. Okay, you need to read these sentences and you need to arrange them in the proper sequence. You need to arrange them in the proper sequence. Now I haven't given the answer. Can you give me the answer? Which do you think is the first sentence? Which is the second, third, fourth, one? Okay, I'll give you the answer. It is C. Exercises play a vital role in your body healthy, keeping your body healthy. Regular exercise will also keep your body in good health. Mean a simple or slow walk. No, it should be C, E, then D. It should be in such a way that your body should start sweating. But doesn't mean a simple and slow walk. You can go for running, do cycling, walking faster, etc. So the answer is C, E, D, A, B. They'll give you 4 options here during your exams. So you need to choose the correct one. Here too, can you give me the answer? Anybody? Shall I give you the answer? Shall we move? The answer is, at first they look like perfect pets, exotic, quiet and tidy. Who look like perfect pets? Lizards and other pets. But who look lizards and other pets? But lizards and other pets can harbor a salmonella bacterium that makes people sick. A study estimates that in 1995, there were as many as 6,700 reptile-caused salmonella infections. People can get infected by handling reptiles and then touching their mouths or an open cut. So the answer is B, D, C, A. This is the answer. See, I've given 4 options. You need to choose the correct one. Next, comprehension of passages. This you have been answering all these years. They'll give you a passage and then they'll give you certain, they might give you certain questions, or it might come in any way they choose to. But you need to be quick in reading, understanding and giving your answer. Okay, that is, I'm not going to waste time here because you have been already doing this. Actually, the meaning of the word to comprehend, what is the meaning of the word comprehension? See, it's a word which has a root in French word. It is to comprehend. To comprehend is to understand. So the actual idea of having these passages is you need to be able to read and understand the given passage and the idea which is in the passage. And you need to answer it in your own word, but usually students copy paste. Next, language skills. What are language skills? See, when you learn your native language, first we listen. Any child, it listens and then it learns speaking, isn't it? See, if a child is born deaf, see, we think we have heard about people who cannot speak. The reason is they were born with deafness. That is why for the child, the entire world was a vacuum, silent, and it couldn't hear anything, and that is why it couldn't learn how to speak. It's as simple as that. We first listen and then we learn how to speak. Then we learn how to read and finally how to speak. This is actually, I can speak on this for again 2-3 hours. It comes in communication. So, but I'm not going to go into that. We'll finish this off. So, listening and reading receptive. What do you mean by receptive? It needs an input. Okay, it needs an input. You need to listen and you need to really understand what you're listening and reading. So they are receptive. And when you're speaking and writing, you are being productive. Out, and when you're writing, you're producing something that you need to understand. It's a cognitive act. What do you mean by cognitive? It's a comprehensive act. You listen because you want to listen. Okay, you do it because you want to do it. Finish fast. My battery is running low.